David Bowie?
Yeah, because it's Labyrinth.
What?
David Bowie was in a movie called Labyrinth.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And like his pants are really bulgy. Yeah, it's a joke in Suburban Nights. If Sam was for Sam who hasn't seen it, so.
I don't watch anything by those.
But any final thoughts on Little Nicky?
I gotta say, Little Nicky is not. I mean, is like a one-watch deal to me. It's basically. I want to like this movie. I really want to like this movie because it's like every single Adam Sandler movie ever made. But it's like in the early 90s, Adam Sandler was like the funniest person. He had all his humor together, but when 2000 just hits, his humor has gone astray for some reason. It's not funny anymore, and it's more of this nasty, just raunchy humor, which, again, I can understand that Adam Sandler has a little bit of raunchy humor, but this one, he just multiplied it by 100 in this one. An example, this movie had a demon with boobs on his head, and also, let's not forget, that's my boy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I will say that if you're going to watch this movie, just do yourself a favor and just rent the movie or something, or I don't want to recommend buying it or anything.
Get the special edition with the Game Boy game.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, there were action figures made about these, like,
should have been McDonald's toys.
There's a reason why I shouldn't have one.
I can see the little, like, BB with an arrow shooting out of his
Mommy,
penis
look what my doggy can do. Speaker says.
And then a voice will go.
I have to look that up now. I gotta look that up now because I do not believe you. There are action figures.
No, I'm dead serious. There are action figures.
I'm looking this up.
I'm not kidding about that.
I really do want like a 12-inch figure of Little Nicky that says, "All right, Adrian, the jig is up. Get in the flash, Adrian. Get in the flash."
I'm not kidding you. That actually does exist. Like,
oh my god, they do exist.
I told you. Like, I did so much research on that review for Gus and everything.
You can get an action figure of the guy, the demons that love Popeye's chicken, and the gorilla with the horns. You can get Little Nicky.
You can't get Adrian, but you can get Cassius. Explain that. I'm very angry.
No. Little Nicky sleeping on the air conditioning. Little Nicky playing his guitar thingy with Cassius and a rock. I'm just trying to name them all so that I can find. It's just, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, really try and find one of Adrian for Kayla.
Because, yeah, exactly. I want that one.
Yeah, because apparently Kayla...
And the sticker on the box does read, "Now that hurt the both of us."
Oh my god!
The sticker does say it. I'll post it in the Skype, and you can put that on the YouTube as well, I guess.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon.
But I find it weird. There's no Adrian,
Cody,
but there is.
If you want that one, $14.50 on Amazon. That one hit.
Why is there Cassius and no Adrian? Come on, guys. Adrian's like the most lovable character in this whole movie.
It looks like.
Well, actually, he's like the main villain of this movie. So technically, I'm with you, Kayla. It's sort of like
lovable character.
Well, no, it's not a lovable character.
I love him.
Okay, hear me out here. It's basically like for example, you wouldn't go into Toys R Us and buy a Star Wars action figure and they don't have Darth Vader. That's like saying that with Little Nicky, there has to be an Adrian toy. It's sort of like he's the main villain. What does Cassius do?
They don't have
nothing.
He possesses a referee and challenges Nicky to a basketball game. He does absolutely nothing.
Okay, maybe I should state.
They don't even have an action figure of Little Nicky like in a regular form. They have one of him sleeping and one of him playing a guitar.
Alright, let me just state why I like Adrian besides his appearance. I think he has to be a really great villain. He has a great motive. I mean, like, yeah, taking over the world is really cliche, but he actually, he actually does something in order to actually take over. And, like, most people are like, okay, well, if I destroy Tokyo, then the world's mine, right? But, like, no, Adrian actually attempts to steal souls, while others are like, alright, others, do my bidding. Make it happen, guys. And he's, like, a really good, scary villain. That's why I love him.
He's not scary, though.
Well, no, I don't do my top 11 scariest villains.
He's more like the guy that runs the carnival.
Yeah, he's more intimidating than he is scary.
But
yeah.
Does anyone else think he looks exactly like Rod Stewart in this movie?
Who's Rod Stewart?
Hold on, I'll get a picture of Rod Stewart.
Yeah, I do not care if he used to be Dr. Connors or the Lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man. I think that he was a great villain in that movie. Just saying.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed when I looked at the actor who played him. He's only hot in this movie. And I was like, oh man, he has a beard. I don't like beards. And except if it's a nostalgia critic, but that's about it. But like, yeah, I was like, man, he's only hot in this movie. That's really disappointing. Okay, so you sent me something over here.
That's Rod Stewart. I think he looks a lot like a younger version of Rod Stewart.
Oh my god, yeah, it does.
Yep.
But less hot. Alright, so are we ready to move on to Never Mess with the Zohan?
Oh, goody, yes.
Yes,
please.
This movie is so bad. It is like right next to
Again, we are opposites. This is definitely one of my favorites.
Next to That's My Boy, this has to be like the second most annoying film I've ever seen in my life, because what is the point of this movie? It's basically about a guy's balls, and he goes to New York.
No, it's not the balls, it's the bush. It's the bush.
And all he does is cutting hair, and then at the climax of the film, we have a Jews versus Palestine war. And I'm like, am I on drugs or something? Why is this movie good in any way?
This movie is just so funny.
It is not funny.
This movie was just, ow.
Exactly.
Painful. Now, I never seen this movie,
this was when the Palestinians were talking over the phone.
Alright, so Cody hasn't seen it, so...
Why men do this? That's it.
Yeah.
Should we explain it to Cody?
Basically, Cody, what it is about an Israeli guy who moves to New York and he wants to cut hair.
Here's a very long description on IMDb. Zohan Zver works as a special agent and lives with his Orthodox parents in Israel. He wants to give up this life full of dangerous encounters with Palestinians. While in the process of apprehending a Palestinian activist known simply as the Phantom, he fakes his death, hides in a dog kennel on a plane bound for New York, and decides to try his hand as a hairstylist. He is refused employment initially, but when he offers to work for free, Dahila hires him as a cleaner. When a hairstylist named Debbie quits, Zohan replaces her, winning her elderly female clientele, and then falling in love with Dahlia herself. Before Zohan could propose to her, Dahlia's landlord, Walbridge, who has been raising rents regularly, hires skinhead goons to terrorize the neighborhood, creates misunderstandings between Jews, Muslims, Arabs, Palestinians, and drives them out, so as to enable him to construct a new building, which is topped by a roller coaster. When Zohan decides to confront these skinheads, he does not realize that he is in for quite a few surprises himself.
Now, from that description, I kind of feel like that would have been better as an action movie than it is a comedy.
Oh, it's a comedy.
And everything.
It's a comedy.
But what was the whole jokes about his whole balls thing? That wasn't funny.
It was not his balls, it was his bush.
It wasn't funny.
It was just a funny movie.
It was.
There's this one part where, like, I think she asks him to do push-ups, and he does, or like she wants to see what his requirements or something like that. And he starts doing push-ups, and then he starts doing the push-ups where he pushes up, and then he starts clapping, and then like he pushes up and he does like 20 claps, and then he goes back down, and then we see him doing push-ups without even using his hands, and he's just going up and down with his feet. So he's supposed to be like this impossible guy. And I think
it's sort of like
it's just hilarious. It's like Chuck Norris. I was about to say it's like the Israeli Chuck Norris.
But like Cody was saying in the previous take, how like Little Nicky could be offensive for like Christians, but to me this one was a little more offensive than how people would view Little Nicky, because like it just does not seem that we need some kind of Jewish Palestine politics in a comedy movie. It's good for a documentary, but not for a comedy.
Yeah, I can understand that because it's sort of like I really am not into anti-Semitic humor. I hate
Good.
it. I hate like making like dishing like Christianity, sort of.
But it doesn't diss anything. In fact, it's probably a compliment to Jews. This movie, it's telling us that we're like badass in some ways.
But like for the Palestinians, here's the thing about like foreign countries. The Middle East takes everything very seriously, whether it's a joke or not. So if this movie was put into the Middle East, a lot of people would start riots right now.
I think it just has some good aspects, this movie.
Okay,
just the jokes.
I don't think Bernie has let his input into this movie.
Okay.
What do you mean, Zohan?
Mm-hmm.
You're still on Zohan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I already did. It's like, this movie was just painful. The only person I really liked being in this movie was a stunt guy. And I only know him from American Ninja Warrior. Paul Darnell.
You don't like the scene, I think he falls into a scene with George Takei and Bruce Vilanch.
Okay, that was a good punchline. The skinhead ends up in a room with the gay couple.
I don't remember that part.
Hello. What's your name?
Oh, my.
What's your name?
Okay, so does anyone have any final thoughts about this movie?
I think you guys are all wrong, and you should give it a second shot, because I think it's actually pretty good.
And I say it sucks. Anyway, let's move on to our final film of the night, Bedtime Stories. Now, I was really excited when this film came out. I went to go see it in theaters, and I loved it. But then when I became an internet reviewer, I had to watch this film again in order to find things to review it about, because I can't just say, oh, it's good, I liked it. But looking back at it many years later, it's not my favorite like it used to be.
I knew you were going to say that.
There are a lot of plot holes in this movie.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I remember watching it when I was a little kid, and when I went to my Disney senior trip up at Disneyland in Florida, they played that movie because they have movie nights up there where they would get this big elaborate screen with a projector on it. And we would like sit in the pool and everything while they just played the movie. I rewatched Bedtime Story, and I didn't like it that much as I did when I was a little kid.
That guinea pig.